okay, there is a growing radical group of people in this country who do apparently think it's okay and that it should be celebrated that you kill someone over economic reasons. And I'm just not sure that the response is to those people, at least, or let's say to those who may be listening to that crowd, but they haven't been radicalized yet. I'm not sure the response is, well, actually, you just don't understand healthcare policy, or like that's not how it works. And so my concern is that you're going to see more people radicalize in this country if people who are otherwise moderate, and I'm not talking about those celebrating, what Luigi did. I'm talking about other people who, let's say, have problems with the healthcare system.
I am radicalized, and I think
like how do we
I'm
address
totally radicalized.
How do we prevent more people from getting radicalized?
I will say the one upside of that tragedy. First of all, you cannot allow people to murder strangers they disagree with on principle. Period.
Then everyone's fair game.
That's terrorism. Yeah. I also think I'm grateful that we are having some conversation about economics and not race. The race stuff, the race war they've been trying to foment for 50 years was by design an attempt to distract you from the truth, which is they're distorting the U.S. economy in their favor. The ruling cabal that runs this country, behind Joe Biden, behind Kamala Harris, these hapless puppets, behind Mitch McConnell, they are distorting it to their own benefit, and they're making it impossible for the United States to sustain a middle class, and hence a democracy. You can't have a democracy without a majority middle class, I think. I think it's pretty obvious. So, anyone who wants to turn this into a society of renters where you don't own a home, a country with people who rent is a volatile, crazy country. It's a country that allows banks to charge 22% interest on a credit card? Are you joking? That used to be a federal crime.
Yeah.
It was called loan sharking, and lots of mafia people went to jail for it. No one questions it. So I've actually been on this for a long time. I'm the opposite of a socialist. I don't think we should have a command and control economy. I don't want to put AOC in charge of the economy.
Totally. But if you want to prevent that from happening, you can't,
The first thing you have to say is it's immoral to enslave people with debt. It's immoral to make it Look, the purpose of your society is to allow your children to raise decent children. That's the whole point of society. We all get together collectively to defend our women and children so that women may bear another generation of children who carry on our religion, our culture, our language, our civilization. That's the whole freaking point. There's no other point. And so anybody who gets in the way of that is an enemy of your civilization, obviously, by definition.
Yeah.
And I do think that a monopoly system like the one that we have now makes it pretty much impossible for that to happen. People can't have kids. They can't get married. They can't own anything. And that's like the single biggest problem that we face. And debt is what torments people. You're thinking like I'm very focused on debt and drugs. I think addiction and debt make people's lives miserable. Debt is such a bigger threat to people than Iran. Drugs are such a bigger threat to people than China. Now, drugs may be coming from China, and our fixation on countries like Iran has put the country in debt. I mean, they're all connected as issues. But if you're to isolate the things that the average, 35-year-old guy making $100,000 a year, which is above median income, he's doing pretty well. He's probably what's the credit card debt he's rolling over every month?
Right.
And people making $40,000 a year, like there's no chance they'll be able to have 5 kids, which a lot of people want, but they can't have them. They can't afford them. So I just welcome that debate. I really do. And the health insurance companies, how can a health insurance CEO be making more than a surgeon? What's their net add to America?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even like doctors. I don't go to the doctor. I don't trust doctors after COVID. I don't go to the doctor. However, I recognize rationally, healthcare is made possible by physicians. And so they're the ones with the talent, the skills, the healing skills that form the basis of medicine. If they're making less than a mid-level health insurance executive, you've got a screwed up system.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think, too, like you said about the people wanting a middle class. I mean, if you don't want socialism, you have to speak and do things for the people.
I've been saying.
No, I know. That's why I wanted to ask you about it.
I've been saying this for 10 years. If you don't want socialism, then you have to moderate the system we currently have. Stop calling it market capitalism. It's not.
People can't feel ignored. People can't feel.
It's monopoly. It's monopoly capitalism, which is the enemy of market capitalism. It doesn't actually work in the way intended. It's hardly free. It's a cartel, obviously. And if you're defending that, you're just guaranteeing that you're going to wind up with Hugo Chavez. This actually happened. I went to Caracas, Venezuela before Chavez as a kid. I visited Caracas because I'm 55. It was a long time ago, but Caracas was a really nice town. It was actually a rich city. Yeah. It was a rich country. It's got the world's largest proven oil reserves. And now famously it's impoverished. You're eating zoo animals, all that stuff. How'd that happen? How did Hugo Chavez come to power? In a military coup? No, in an election. Because, 5 or 6 families, classic kind of Latin economic structure, took control of the economy and didn't share the wealth. That's just true. I'm sorry. It happened in Cuba too. You get a fascist like Fidel Castro running the country if you ignore it. So
that's what I hate, and I've been telling people for years is like in order to rationalize
family in Latin America, so what happens.
In order to rationalize a Hugo Chavez, they have to say, oh, like it was stolen. Okay, yeah, maybe they stole some of the elections afterwards, but the initial thing was always, I'm sorry, what is it? It's like so hard for some people in this country to understand that millions of poor people were pissed off. You know what I mean? And like
Hitler got elected in Germany in 1933 in a free and fair election because of inflation. Yeah. And ridiculous, onerous war reparations and all the stuff, the Treaty of Versailles. But those conditions in that peace settlement after the First World War crushed the German economy, humiliated the German people, and made it impossible for the middle class to thrive, and they voted for Hitler. Poor people, it wasn't poor people who got him elected, it was the middle class who got him elected.
Yeah.
And it's hardly an endorsement of Hitler. I mean,
no, but it's like we come up with ways in this country to
rationalize.
Right. It's just so dumb.
It's like the 9/11 they hate us for our freedoms thing. It's like, no, cause and effect is real. Like, be rational, be an adult. They're mad that we support Israel and we're in the Saudi Peninsula. Those are not reasons to blow up the World Trade Centers. They're not reasons to pull the troops out of the Saudi Peninsula or not support Israel. I mean, we can have that debate.
Right.
But don't lie to me and tell me it's because they hate our freedoms.
Too many women in bikinis. That's
exactly.
What it is.
The same people who go to Lebanon and Dubai for the weekend are mad about bikinis? I don't think they are. So it's not that. There are reasons for this, and if you lie about what the reasons are, you're likely to repeat the cycle. And do you want that? And I do think that a lot of people would actually, the defenders of democracy, self-described defenders of democracy, are opposed to democracy, and they like a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And they're creating the conditions for one right now. I want to be on the record saying I don't want a dictatorship. I kind of like democracy. Yeah, and it's slipping away.